What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Occupy Fantasy YouTube channel. We are here today with some NBA DFS daily fantasy basketball lineup advice, picks for FanDuel and DraftKings for today, June 1st, NBA playoff slate. 3 games in action. I'm Brian Jester, co-founder here at Occupy Fantasy. Joined today by our NBA. Oh my God, he is our former NBA DFS writer. He is no longer writing for us. It's been a long 3 years, and it's now over. But he's got to join us for some streams every now and then. It's Garrett at GStrams99. Garrett, what's up, man?
I was doing pretty well. Sad to be done writing, but I'm happy I can hop on for at least one more stream, hopefully a few more throughout the playoffs.
Yeah, let's hope so. So, yeah, we're going to be live here for about 30 minutes or so till 6 p.m. Eastern, just breaking down the slate, answering your questions, talking about lineup strategies for 3-game slates, talking about how the playoffs for DFS differs from the regular season. And we're going to help you out, talk about some picks, talk about these games, and break them down. Before we get started, make sure you click that subscribe button below the video, get notified whenever we go live. We took last week off. I was out of town. But we're back this week in full swing. We'll have golf tomorrow. UFC is back on Saturday. We'll have some baseball streams mixed in as well. So if you have questions, go ahead and hop in the live chat to the right of the video. Ask them. We'll answer them here live for the next 30 minutes or so. So Garrett, let me talk to you. Like I said, I was out of town. I was at a destination wedding, and one of my buddies was down there with us. He's an occupied member. He plays NBA for the most part. DFS doesn't dabble in too many other sports, and
hmm
every night we're down there. He's making NBA lineups. He's checking out the model, and he's talking to me. And if for those of you who have listened to me before or watched our live streams here, I don't play NBA DFS, so I'm trying to help him from a high level, just thinking about if this happens, what does this mean for your lineups, etc. So Garrett, I've been in a little bit talking about NBA DFS for the past week or so, which is the most I've
Yeah.
ever talked about it. But you're the expert here, so we got 3 games tonight. Talk to the people about how playoff basketball for DFS is different than regular season.
Yeah, so playoff basketball, it's a different ball game. You got, the starters are going to play 35 plus minutes more or less unless it's a blowout game. And even so, they'll likely get upwards of close to 30 minutes in a game. So obviously right off the bat, you're looking at less value on the slate. So the key thing in NBA DFS is one, getting the right value because there can be some traps and there can be some chalk value that you might just need to eat. And the other thing is figuring out which elite plays are the right ones to play because all of them are going to see minutes, all of them are going to see the most usage on their team. There's just no way getting around it. John Morant's going to see a ton of usage for the Grizzlies. LeBron and AD are going to see it for the Lakers. It's just how it goes. So the key is finding the right ones for each slate. That's kind of how it is.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Like without injuries or these random rests that we get in the regular season, and I have the Occupy model up here on screen for those who don't know. It's our model at OccupyFantasy.com, ranks every player, FanDuel and DraftKings. And, when we get the regular season, we'll get some late scratches, teams that's sitting a bunch of
Mhm.
players, and we'll get some very easy values. Guys like 80% owned. They're like min price, they're starting, playing 30 minutes. And we're not really getting those surprises in the playoffs. And, as I was at this wedding all week, and my buddy's playing, and like every second or third day, it's like, well, Christ, Robert Covington's the best value again, just because he's like kind of cheap and he's starting. Because
Yeah.
there isn't any really standout value plays. We got a question in the chat: who are some of your favorite values tonight? But Garrett, it's not like regular season where we have guys you got to play that are values, right?
Not usually. There really isn't. Tonight is, it's kind of the same, but a little bit different. We do have some injury situations that are in play, and they're quite big. For Boston, we have Kemba, he's doubtful. Robert Williams, he's doubtful. For the Lakers, we have Anthony Davis, who is unlikely to play as well. So it does open up some plays. Obviously with AD out, they're going to look to LeBron a lot, especially if it's a tight game. For Boston, they're going to look to Tatum because they also don't have Brown. Tatum's been the guy for them in this series as well. But there are still some value plays, especially on DraftKings. Peyton Pritchard's 3-2. Last game without Walker because they didn't have Walker last game either. Pritchard played 24 minutes, had 21 and a half DK points, so that definitely exceeds his 3.2 K salary. So that's definitely up in play. Another play that we see that people are starting to trend to is Marc Gasol. The Lakers are starting to figure out that Marc Gasol knows how to play basketball.
It
Obviously,
only
like,
took them all year to figure
yeah,
it
it
out.
only took all year to figure it out, but he can play basketball and he's pretty dang good at it, especially setting up a guy like LeBron James. He's a distributing center, kind of like Jokic. He's just a lot older. He was a little behind his time, apparently. So Marcus Gasol's definitely in play, especially on DraftKings at his 3.6 price tag. On FanDuel, it's a little bit different. You don't have too much value. No one very under the 5K mark that really sticks out, except for really Kyle Kuzma. He's going to be the chalk value on the slate for FanDuel at 4.3 with no Anthony Davis. There's no word that he would start, but he's definitely going to see an uptick.
Nice. So yeah, so it is a little bit of a rarity where we do have some injuries that are impacting. And as you were talking, I was sorting through the Occupy model, and yeah, Peyton Pritchard tops the DraftKings value. You talked about Robert Williams being out for the
Mhm.
Celtics, and I do have another point about him. I'll bring it back in a second, but with him
Yeah.
out, we have Tristan Thompson projected for about 30 minutes or so.
Mhm.
Is this price in the right area considering his increased role with Williams off the court?
So I think that Tristan Thompson, he can blow up. He's definitely got the potential to really do a lot. We saw it, game three against Brooklyn. Tristan played 30 minutes. He had 19 and 13, 37.25 DK points. Even with Robert Williams in game two, he doubled and had a very strong performance. Last game, the Nets got a little bit more aggressive and they got Tristan into a lot of foul trouble early. He finished with just 22 minutes because he couldn't really get back on the floor. So that's something that we need to look at. Tristan definitely, he's definitely got a lot of upside on this slate, and I think that will kind of raise his ownership a lot. So he's definitely in there for center in low and high risk.
Yeah, and my other point about Robert Williams was this was just me, the DFS mind thinking throughout the week
Yeah.
as I'm trying to give some sort of coherent advice to my friend playing NBA DFS, is that so we have very limited values, very limited players to choose from. And to me, as I was following his lineups, we were reviewing the next morning because it's not like we had
hmm
anything to do down there. That's all we were doing. And you'll see some guys who busted last game or didn't play well last game, and their ownership dropped
Yep.
significantly the following game. And to
Yep.
me, just thinking is like, all right, these guys are playing the same exact team, they're in the same exact situation, but
hmm
because they missed shots or got in foul trouble or what I don't know, they're humans, they had a bad game. Now all of a sudden their ownership's cut in half. Like that to me
Yeah.
seems like an easy play in high risk contests. Is just play guy not necessarily fill your lineups with them, but if you're looking
Yeah.
for a low ownership, just fill them with some guys that played poorly last game that are in similar spots again tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's definitely a big thing in playoff basketball. You got these best of seven series. Players aren't going to have great nights every night or bad nights every night. It's just not how things work. Players are good some nights. Sometimes they struggle to hit their shots. Sometimes they get in foul trouble. It really just depends on the night. Some nights it works for you, sometimes it doesn't. It doesn't mean like, okay, this one guy shot, 2 for 16 from the field in one game. All right, next game, we can't play him. He's going to shoot poorly again.
Right.
So it's definitely something to consider in high risk. In low risk, it's still something to consider, but you got to know that ownership on that player will likely be down. And if he does end up, doing what he did the previous game again, which is, it's possible, you're likely not looking too great.
Yeah, and I do have another point, a higher level point. We'll get to that here in a second, but let's answer some of these questions in the chat.
Yeah.
It seems like a very prominent question that many people have is the favorite spinned up, the favorite elite
Yeah.
players to play tonight. So obviously the Occupy model has some
hmm
opinions. Garrett, I know you have some opinions, and it's tough because it's the playoffs, so it's filled with studs, and you can't play them all. So who are the guys you're looking to? We'll start with low risk. Who are the guys that you
hmm
think have the best chance of returning value at the top of the salary range, and then maybe some guys who may not go as owned as they should if it was a larger slate or if there weren't other studs on the slate.
Yeah, for sure. So, I know he's not a huge spend up. Wait, I gotta look at it. So on FanDuel more than DraftKings, FanDuel's a little bit more different. My FanDuel's not working again. Um, you know, Devin Booker is going to be highly owned on FanDuel, I believe, just because of the pure crap that FanDuel is with their placement of positions. Basically your options tonight on FanDuel are Devin Booker, Marcus Smart, Austin Rivers, James Harden, and CJ McCollum. So you got basically four spend ups and then a value. And Austin Rivers has been very up and down in this series. Devin Booker should be a guy to target in low risk on FanDuel. Um, you know, no AD, so this game's going to be close. At least it's expected to be. And Devin Booker is going to lead the way for the Suns. He's been seeing 40 minutes a game. That's huge. Another spend up that I really like. I'll look more on DraftKings for this one. On DraftKings, the ownership seems like it's going to be all over the place, but I'd have to go with Tatum again with Kemba Walker out. I think a lot of people will look at that and go right to Tatum. Same thing with LeBron. But a lot of people have been very wary of LeBron. He hasn't been taking too much charge lately. He hasn't been, taking control of the game like he used to. Seeming like he's gonna, you know, try and do it a little bit differently this year with his injuries. Tatum, on the other hand, is taking like every shot for the Celtics. He's doing everything he can to win these games. As long as that game stays close, he's the spend up for DraftKings.
Yeah, you got to imagine LeBron, right? With no AD tonight,
hmm
series tied. We got to see LeBron take charge. I've seen that before in the past, where it's like, God, I've had a bet on Cleveland or whoever it was, or I got props on LeBron in the past. And I mean, this is
Yeah.
one of the best basketball players in the world. He could score at will,
hmm
yet he's still being passed and passed him. While that would kill me back in the day when he would do this. So hopefully tonight he should. You would think this would be a spot where he would
hmm
take charge.
Yeah, I'm definitely very high on LeBron tonight. I think a lot of people are as well. I don't exactly know what his ownership will be, but I think if LeBron's gonna take charge, tonight has to be the night. There's no, I mean, if they go down 3-2, I think it's tough. It's a tough ask for them to come back in this series with the amount of injuries that they've just had to deal with.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, definitely.
hmm
It's funny. I got some texts today of people saying the NBA want the Lakers to win. So if you believe in that theory, you you could probably play some more Lakers in your lineups tonight. So while we wait
Yeah.
for some more questions, and again, if you guys have questions, go ahead and hop in the chat, throw the questions in, and we'll answer them here before we get out of here at 6 p.m. Eastern. Garrett, one of the other angles I was talking with my friend about throughout the week, NBA playoffs, small slates, 3-game slates. We've talked about it, I think, before when we've had these massive,
hmm
ticket entry 2-game slates. Trying to think about how the game plays out and playing some bench players who are definitely going to be low owned because
Yeah.
as a median projection, they don't project very well. They only project for 15 minutes, 19 minutes. But as we know, shit happens in the NBA.
Yep.
Players get in foul trouble, whatever it may be. So I'm just looking.
hmm
And again, you don't have to necessarily talk about this player in particular, but Claxton for the Nets, he's our third highest
Yeah.
value on DK, only projected for 18 minutes. Now we're playing a 10-game slate. This is a guy we're not going to worry about. We're not going to play. But talk to me about the idea of these types of players. What would it take for them to get into the optimal lineup? And then maybe Claxton's scenario in particular.
So, I mean, for a lot of these players, it's going to be very tough for them to make the optimal lineup if they're not seeing, decent minutes already. So you need, if you're going to play a bench player, it needs to be one of the top two bench players on the team more likely than not. Because unless the team gets in heavy foul trouble or players get injured, like last night with the Sixers, you saw it. Embiid got hurt, Simmons foul trouble, Harris struggling to score. So they in fourth quarter they turned to Furkan Korkmaz, Tyrese Maxey. Those guys ended up being, significant, DFS plays later on. But a lot of stuff has to happen for deep bench guys to become significant. And for a guy like Claxton, I mean, I am looking at his game logs. He hasn't seen more than 18 minutes this series against Boston. He played 18 minutes, and he really hasn't been able to do anything with it either. Um, they do have some big men to throw out there on Brooklyn, but also Boston, they're running out of big men too. So there's really no need for a big man out there this series for a team like Brooklyn. They're going to run some KD at the five, Blake Griffin at the five. That's just kind of how they've been doing it. They've been running a faster offense. For Nick Claxton to get into the game for significant minutes, you'll likely need Blake Griffin to kind of get out of the game completely. They haven't been running any DeAndre Jordan. He's been absent for the playoffs. Doesn't look like he'll play unless they face a bigger team. So you'll need Blake Griffin out of there early for Claxton to get any kind of significant minutes for the Nets.
And that's the type of thinking you need to have. And maybe, maybe Claxton's not a great play tonight, right? But maybe if you do play
Yeah.
him, you're not going to play him in the same lineup with Blake Griffin. And if you're using an optimizer or a lineup builder, that would be a setting or a rule you would make. If Blake Griffin's in the lineup, do not use Claxton and vice versa. So, I mean, these are types of situations you have to think about. If this guy benefits, who who doesn't benefit from it, and how can
Hmm.
you build your lineup around that? So, all right, we got some questions in the chat. We got Jayhawk saying Suns in 6. He's been getting under people's skin in the Discord talking about the Suns. What's up, Jayhawk? E's asking thoughts on Chris Paul. Is he a sneaky tournament play at 6,600?
I love Chris Paul. I mean, I've loved him this entire playoffs. The shoulder injury really, buried him in games 2 and 3, I believe. But he was completely healthy last game, or if he wasn't, he really hit it well. He played 32 minutes. He played only 23 and 27 in games 2 and 3. Pulled off his best performance so far in the series, 1 assist away from a double double. I think that he's probable right now. He says he's ready to play. I mean, he's been saying that this entire time. But going off of last game, he looks all right. He looks good. And he's gonna be a guy to take charge of this series if this team is gonna win. And he knows that. So I think I love Chris Paul on the slate. If he is healthy, sees 30 plus minutes, I'm all in on Chris Paul at 6-6.
Yeah, I'd like to hear that. Yeah, and again, pretty cheap, especially on DraftKings at 6,600. So,
Yeah.
um, Garrett, any low owned players or players you think that are going overlooked tonight that you think could be sneaky for tournaments to help differentiate on this 3 game slate?
I mean, looking right now, um, give me 1 second to just take a look at, because my FanDuel's down, so I'm using the model to go through positions and everything. Um, so give me 1 second. I mean, Durant, I think he's gonna go overlooked on FanDuel, just because of his price in general. I mean, he's a lot more expensive than guys like MPJ, Evan Fournier, Kuzma, James. All those guys are good plays, and they're likely going to see. I mean, Fournier's going to see an uptick in usage. Kuzma's going to see an uptick in usage. LeBron's going to see an uptick in usage. So a lot of people will probably stay away from KD because of that. But we've seen KD and what he can do this series. So I really like KD as a high risk, lower owned option. So there's that. And then there's also a guy like Jay Crowder. I mean, we know Jay Crowder can't create his own shot. He's not, a shocking player. But if you need, a lower salary guy, I know 5-5 isn't on FanDuel isn't like super value or anything. But it's really not too bad on DraftKings. Actually, he's 4-7, so I really like that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, the power forward position, just looking now, I have it filtered out in the model. I mean, you have Tatum, who's
Yeah.
just in another stratosphere when it comes to the position, and then it's Covington, Crowder, Gordon, Griffin. Like you're throwing
Yeah.
darts down there. So, um, who do you think is the most popular of that group between Covington, Crowder, Gordon, or maybe it's one of these other guys?
I think it will likely be Covington. I think people will go Covington over Crowder. I prefer Crowder, honestly, especially if Chris Paul's in the game. It kind of takes some focus away from Crowder. And Paul, as a strong distributor, and Crowder has been very good in the playoffs the last few years. I think that Crowder can go overlooked tonight.
Cool, good stuff. So, all right, guys, we're here for 10 more minutes or so till 6 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not already. I was looking this morning, something like 60% of people who watch our videos aren't subscribed, so I don't know what you're doing. So make sure you click the subscribe button. Get notified whenever we go live or upload any new videos. Give us a thumbs up if you like this video. If you want to see more NBA playoff content, give us that thumbs up so we know to continue creating it. If you have any questions, hop in the chat. Or you can always jump in our Discord channel. We got all of our members and staff in there talking about all the daily fantasy sports. OccupyFantasy.com/Discord. Just click the join button right below this video. That'll get you access.
Mm.
Um, all right, Wheezy in the chat is asking thoughts on Kyrie, 8,800. So obviously we got the big three for Brooklyn G. Talked about
Mhm.
Durant already. Thoughts on Kyrie at his price?
I mean, the big three in Brooklyn's been literally doing everything. I think they score like 85% of the team's points at this point in the playoffs. Kyrie's been a little bit of a disappointment before last game, for the team in the playoffs. But last game he really turned it on, made six threes, had 11 rebounds. I don't really know how the hell that happened. He scored, I believe, a team high 39 points. If he turned it on, then I love Kyrie at that price. Honestly, with how the uh, how the position looks tonight, I'm not really looking to spend 10-3 on Damian Lillard. I think that's a little bit too expensive. Alex Caruso is going to be a value that people try and go to, just because, no AD, so got to get some Caruso in there. Dennis Schroeder's a little bit expensive, so is Facundo Campazzo. So I think I really like Kyrie Irving on FanDuel. On DraftKings, it's a little bit of a different story because Peyton Pritchard's in play, Chris Paul is heavily in play. Even LeBron James, you can put him at the point guard and even spend and keep going as a small forward and the power forward elsewhere. Um, Kyrie's still in play on DraftKings, even at 8-8. Um, I think it's a little bit more risky because you have the other two a part of the trifecta. So I say that's a little bit more high risk, but we saw it can go off, so I'm all in for Kyrie and high risk.
Speaking of the big three, is this a
Mhm.
situation? I know it's a smaller slate, but I mean, they're all three are relatively pricey, and there's only so much usage to go around. Do you limit yourself to max one of those big three per lineup, max two? Is there a scenario where all three hit value? Probably not. What are your thoughts on playing these guys together?
So I don't think I would ever play all three of them together. I mean, last game was kind of an anomaly. I wouldn't say too much of one. This whole series has really been high scoring. I mean, all of them hit value last game. The fact is, though, with their salaries, it's very hard to fit them all in. I would say if you're going, I would say I would definitely play two. I would definitely play two because they're doing everything for that team. So playing two of the three is something that I would definitely consider, even in low risk. Kyrie Irving will likely be the most popular of the three, especially on FanDuel, just due to his price discount. But all three have insane ceilings tonight. I mean, and I think the over/under for this game, 234 and a half, and then the other two games, 226 and 209. So the scoring is there, the pace is there. I would play two.
Fair enough. All right. Jeff Wilson's asking thoughts on Marcus Smart and Kuzma. I think we mentioned Kuzma a little bit. I was getting the vibe, Garrett, that you think Kuzma's going to be popular, but maybe not worth it. Was I reading that correctly?
I think Kuzma will be popular. Kuzma, I guess gotta look at his price real quick on DraftKings, and he's a high risk play for me. I think a lot of people will go towards him because Anthony Davis is out. The real issue there is he's just been struggling big time. I mean, he can definitely turn it on. I mean, that's something that Kuzma's been able to do at points. But I really don't think that Kuzma is that strong of a play tonight. I think he'll be much more higher owned on FanDuel than DraftKings just due to pricing, but I still don't see the love for him that many other people do. He just hasn't been able to do as much. I'd rather, go up to a guy like Evan Fournier or something like that, on FanDuel and on DraftKings. I just wouldn't really look towards him at all. I know people love him, but I just can't do it.
Fair enough. I mean, we're looking for reasons to fade guys, right? High owned guys. I mean, why? I mean, what better reason than that? So, what about
Yeah.
Smart? I mean, obviously, no Kemba helps. Project him for nearly 40 minutes.
Mhm.
How does Smart fit into the equation tonight?
Yeah, so I mean Marcus Smart's been amazing without Kemba. I love Marcus Smart. He's definitely going to be in my player pool. He's 6'5" on DraftKings. He's hit 37 plus DraftKings points in the last three games. He even had foul trouble last game. It really didn't matter. He's doing a lot. He's doing a little bit of everything. He's doing some scoring. He's doing some distributing. He's taken over a little bit of a point guard role without Kemba Walker. So Marcus Smart is definitely in my player pool tonight.
Yeah, and this is a situation we have a plenty big enough sample size, right? Like Kimba was out
Yeah.
throughout the season at different times, and
Mhm.
Smart stepped into that role. So I mean, we love seeing those types of situations, especially smaller slates where we're able to really pinpoint what a player is going to do when someone else is out. So um, although I would a counterpoint to that is it would be nice to have a situation we don't know to give us a little uncertainty for some ownership in high risk contests.
Yeah, that's true. That would definitely create a different story all around. I mean, that would be a little bit more interesting. It would create a little bit more uniqueness of the slate. Um, but I don't think we're getting that.
Yeah. So, all right, we got 4 minutes left. Any final questions? Get them in the chat. Garrett, I got to ask you. I know DraftKings is running the big contest, the Millionaire in July for the finals,
Mhm.
single game. I assume FanDuel's running a similar type contest. I mean, as we move towards this contest, first of all, I encourage everyone, try to get tickets. We had
Mhm.
a member today who was getting tennis tickets. He had tennis DFS. We offer tennis DFS content now at Occupy. He turned those tickets, $80 worth of tickets that
Mhm.
he got for way less, into $7,500 today. So congrats to him, Repox in the Discord. Go give him a congrats if you're in the Discord channel. But yeah, we can do that same type of strategy for the NBA
Yep.
single game. So Garrett, we got that coming up, and I don't know if you want to talk about it for a couple seconds here, but you and I both haven't played a ton of
Mhm.
single game, but with these tickets coming up, we'll have to think about some strategy here shortly.
Yeah, we definitely will. I haven't been playing too much lately just because, I went on vacation, as you know. So I was gone for a little bit. I missed out on some ticket opportunities. It's hard to pay attention to it all when you're on vacation.
Totally.
Um, but single game is definitely a different animal, especially on DraftKings. It's one thing. On FanDuel, it's another with the MVP, then the star, and then the pro thing. So on FanDuel, you see a lot of ties, same on DraftKings in single game, but you can still turn, a very small value worth of tickets into a lot of money, just with the amount of uniqueness that you can put into your lineups. You can get a big edge over the rest of the field, especially if a lot of people on the field they don't max out. They'll get, 20 tickets or they'll put in like 3 lines or that's it. You can definitely get an edge over all those people, and that's why we like the satellite strategy. You spend a lot less money getting these entries into these contests than you really have to, and it's just very helpful. You don't waste all your bankroll trying to get into these contests. You don't have to spend, what I don't know how much the pricing's gonna be. If it's $10, you're gonna have to spend, all right, what is it, $1,500 to get into this contest if you don't play satellites.
It's
Just not worth
25.
it.
It's $25 on DraftKings.
Really?
Yes,
Wow.
37.50 if you want to max it, which no one's really doing.
That's not, yeah, don't do that. I mean, if you're gonna play, go get tickets. I mean, it's just so much easier.
100%.
There's some contests for 25 cents to go get some of these tickets. You can get tickets for what is it? I don't really know what percentage that is. I'm really bad at math, but it's a lot cheaper than 25 bucks.
For sure. Yeah, it's like 1% of the cost.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go. All right, that'll do it for today's stream. We appreciate everyone tuning in. Again, if you like what you saw here and you want to see some more NBA playoff content, we'll definitely be back for that single game slate. I can
Mhm.
guarantee you that because I have some tickets, so I'll be invested. We'll be on the stream talking strategy for
We'll,
that.
we'll do a few more throughout the playoffs. I mean, I'll be around.
Yeah, and even though he's not on the payroll anymore, he'll still be on some streams. So go follow Garrett at gshams99 if you want to hear him talk about NBA DFS or most likely complaining about the Sixers. Go follow him on Twitter. If you like what you saw, click the subscribe
You had
button.
to put that in there.
I mean, it's every time, dude. Every time I don't even really go on my Twitter feed just for my own mental health. I don't really go on it that often. But in the rare occasions that I do, you always pop up with some much needed Sixers love. So I always
I'm
appreciate
always
that.
there for that.
So yeah, click the subscribe button. Get notified whenever we go live uploading new videos. Join our Discord channel. Click the join button right below here on YouTube. OccupyFantasy.com/Discord with instructions on how to join. Appreciate everyone listening. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow night for PGA, 10 p.m. Eastern. Saturday, we'll be live for UFC. That's back after a week off. I'm Brian Jesser, co-founder of Occupy Fantasy. For Garrett at Occupy Fantasy. We appreciate everyone listening. Good luck tonight.
Thanks, guys. See ya.